Do you guys have a bird?
They're frogs, actually.
What the summer's done for me is it's helped me to be financially secure and also to prepare for my future and prepare a financially secure future for my family. It's really shaped my outlook on life and how I approach life and how I approach goals and how I approach what I can accomplish, and help me to have confidence that really anything that I want to do, if I work hard enough and learn all aspects of that, I can do it. And I really think that's true. I really don't think I would have had that kind of an outlook or a view on life if I hadn't done sales. That's really where I first learned it.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Pointecast. Today I had the privilege of sitting down for a few minutes with Loren Israelsen. He has been doing sales for many years, and he's actually the guy that got me into sales. Loren, his first summer was the top first-year rep, and then he came back a second summer and was the top experienced rep. He then sold for 3 more summers, and in this interview, he's going to share with us some of the main takeaways he got from his years of sales, some of the things that he's learned, the opportunities that doing sales has presented for him, the potential that it's had financially and otherwise. He currently is finishing up dental school and in the process of buying his first dental practice. I think whatever circumstance you're in, whether you've sold before, whether you're getting ready to head out for a first summer, or if you're still on the fence about whether or not you want to sell or not, I think you'll be able to gain some good insight from Loren here and from his experience. So enjoy the interview with Loren.
I guess, first of all, Loren, what was it that first kind of drew you into doing sales at all?
The main reason because I needed a job, and I really didn't know that much about it, but I knew that my brother and some other friends had done it, and it seemed like a good way to make some money during the summer, and they had grown a lot from it, and so I figured, I'll try it. But I was really kind of leery of it at first, but it was a great experience and a great learning experience for me, so I'm glad that I did it.
Nice. How was that first summer? Do you feel like you were just a natural born salesman?
I wish. I mean, the first week I didn't make a sale, and I don't know if that's a good thing to admit to or not, but it was really hard, and I had to overcome personal barriers that I was placing in front of myself. So I had to mentally prep myself every morning. It was hard, but the end of that first summer was extremely rewarding to look back and know that, I'd completed doing the hardest thing that I had ever put myself through.
There's a lot of stereotypes around, I guess, doing sales or being a salesman and what it takes to do well. And so I guess just a few questions, and I'll just let you kind of address them as you see fit. But questions that a lot of people have are, do you have to compromise on your honesty or integrity to excel at sales, to do really well? Do you have to be, a natural born salesman or a big extrovert in order to do well? And then also, do you have to absolutely just love, the product or service that you're selling, in this case, pest control, and do you have to love knocking on doors to do well? So that's kind of just a big jumble of questions. What do you think about those things?
So the first one is, do you have to compromise on your honesty in order to be good at sales? I wondered about that at first, and especially when first going out and not knowing that much about the product, I sometimes would wonder, is this really going to work for the customers that I'm telling them this is going to get rid of their bugs, and is it really going to work? And so I had an internal struggle at the first, am I being honest with these people? But then as I learned more about the product and I was able to meet customers that, the product did work for, so I was able to gain confidence in that and felt like I was being honest. So that was, I think, one part of being honest is, knowing what you're selling and learning about it so you can honestly tell people what to expect. Second part, I think, is probably, just as a salesman, you'll get people that say they don't want to do sales because they don't want to be pushy and they feel like you have to be dishonest to get a sale, and that is an unfortunate stereotype. There was one neighborhood I was in, there was probably 80 homes, And over the course of a couple of weeks, I sold, I think, 45 of the homes. And if I hadn't been honest from the get-go, one neighbor wouldn't have told the next neighbor. And I know for a fact that I wouldn't have gotten half of the homes in that neighborhood to sign up, because the news would spread quickly if you're not honest in
something was being misrepresented.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So would you consider yourself a big extrovert?
Actually, I would consider myself pretty much the opposite of extrovert. Before I was doing sales, I was extremely introverted. Like I only really came across as an extrovert when I was around a group of really close friends. Yeah, that was another part of the first summer that was really hard, was learning how to interact with people that I just met 2 seconds ago. That was I think a big learning experience that I benefited a lot from. Was learning how to interact with people. And so you don't have to be an extrovert. I think it's important to learn how to get out of your own shell, though, and interact with other people.
So you sold for 4 summers, I believe. Is that correct?
5.
5 summers. Did you absolutely love knocking doors?
That's a great question, Brad. No, I didn't. The knocking doors is
Why'd you do it if you didn't love it?
Yeah, it's really hard, but for some reason every year at the end of the summer I'd look back and think, man, that was an awesome summer. I want to do this again. But that wasn't the only reason. I mean, the financial benefits were a huge reason that I was able to stay debt free in college, pay for my car. And actually, that's another thing that is a personal choice. I know a lot of guys that went out and made a lot of money, and then they went and spent it all on toys and trips and random things. And it's important to have fun. But if you take the summer, the money you can make in the summer, and you do something with it that's gonna grow and it's gonna invest in your future, you can do so much more with it. The amount of money that I made in the summer has more than doubled with some of the things I've done. And the first summer, I spent almost all that money, and I didn't get any return on it. And then I learned, and then the second, and the third, and the fourth summer, I actually did something with it, and it's returned and it's multiplied way more than if I hadn't done anything or if I just splurged it. So I was able to buy, I think I bought 6 rental properties, sold one of them. No, I bought 7. I think about 7, and I sold 2 of them. And bought my car, paid for my first year of dental school. So that was a huge reason, because I had some financial goals that I wanted to accomplish, and I knew that sales was the only way that I was going to reach those financial goals. Because when you're working an hourly job, you are extremely limited by the amount of time. But with a commission job, the only thing that limits your potential is yourself. That's why I did it. The first summer, when I wasn't sure how I was going to do, I wasn't sure if I was going to be a bust and if I was going to crash and burn. Like every day I went out scared, thinking I was going to come home having made no money that day. So that really pushed me the first summer. And that first summer, after I learned that, I can accomplish what I set my mind to, then the second and the third, fourth, and fifth summer, it was more my goals that pushed me to keep going every day and to return the next summer. And so yeah, it really benefited me financially. And with the rental properties that I've purchased, those have opened up other opportunities as well. I'm in the process of purchasing my first dental practice right now, and that wouldn't have been an option if I hadn't built up equity in these rental properties, and that would allow me to purchase the dental practice. So it opens up a lot of opportunities that you might not have even thought about.
So it sounds like it's kind of seeds that you planted that have kind of come to fruition, and you've been able to use the fruits of that to, for later endeavors or for new things that you're working on and focusing on, seeds that you planted back in your days on the doors.
Oh yeah, totally. the interpersonal communication skills. Like right now, I'm negotiating with the dentist to buy his practice from him, and the communication skills and the sales skills that I learned on the doors, I'm using in this negotiation, and that's something I never would have even considered, 7 years ago when I started.
Yeah, so let's dive into that a little bit. What are the things that you have gained from your years selling other than money? What has it enabled for you?
A huge part of it is learning how to make and set effective goals. It wasn't necessarily that came by default. Like I had to learn how to set effective goals while I was selling in order for me to be able to accomplish anything. Forcing myself to learn how to set effective goals was a huge one. Learning how to push through things, that's a big one. Life's never a cakewalk, and so I think you really have to learn how to push through hard things. The communication skills, the persuasion skills, the sales skills. A lot of people hate thinking about selling, and they think selling is a dirty word or whatever. But every aspect of your life is a sale. Whether you're trying to get a new job, trying to get into a school, working on a homework project, going on a date.
Yeah, you've seen skills that you gained through learning to sell and communicating with people ripple through to all those other things, anywhere from dating to homework to job applications and school admissions.
Yeah. Everything is a sale, and it always comes down to how you communicate and how you use those interpersonal communication skills.
So I think a lot of people go do summer sales, and a lot of people do, some kind of sales, and I think a lot don't gain those skills or don't, learn what you've learned. What was, kind of the differentiating factor that kind of enabled you to learn these things and kind of apply them to all these other aspects when, personally I see a lot of guys come into the program and, move through it and, maybe they weren't paying attention or they didn't invest themselves, but, what would be the differentiating factor, in your mind on why you were able to gain a lot of these things out when some people don't?
I think a big part of it was I was afraid of failing, and so I never really felt comfortable. And because of that, I was always pushing myself to learn something new so that I wouldn't fail. And I think in the sales reps that I've seen that go out and sell and don't do well, or they don't really take anything away from it. You know what I mean? They leave and then they come back not really having changed, not really having gained any new goal setting skills or communication skills. I think the reason that I've noticed from my observations is because they just get comfortable and they aren't afraid of not progressing, and so they kind of just basically stop progressing. They aren't really pushing themselves to.
They're just satisfied, or they're content with whatever results they're currently getting, and they're not looking to continue pushing the limits on their own selves.
Yeah. When they're just satisfied and comfortable with where they're at, and that's where it's dangerous. Is if you do get comfortable, you're not gonna move forward at all in any aspect of what you're doing.
So you're familiar with our mentorship program. Our mentorship program is really just an encapsulation and a more of a focus of a lot of the things that you and I saw the seeds of when, back when we were first selling, before this program existed, and we've kind of fleshed things out and systematized and made them a lot more thorough and broad and deep. What are the benefits that you could see to the sales reps, as far as summer production or as far as kind of life overall, how sales fits into life and being involved in a more thorough program rather than just a 3 or 4 month sales program?
I think a huge benefit can be that the skills you are learning during the summer really can be applied to any aspect of life. And I'm applying them to my life right now in dental school. I think if you apply those skills during the off season, the benefit's going to be tenfold what it would have been without it. So I think that's a huge thing. And then also the ability to teach. I think when my sales went up, so for my first summer, my sales were at $275, and then the second summer they were at $375. And I think the reason is because I was a manager my second summer, and I was forced to take the things I'd learned the first summer and teach it to other people. And so in a mentorship program, if you're being mentored, you're learning from somebody that's already learned these things, And then if you become a mentor, you are able to teach somebody, and it takes the amount of learning to another level, and you're able to apply things in a whole different way, which I think is a really cool thing that's going to come along with the mentorship program. A lot of accountability as well. The ability to have a coach and a mentor and somebody that can hold you accountable for your goals is going to help you. It's going to help you accomplish a lot more. Today I was talking to a businessman who owns a $10 million company. His company hasn't been that big for very long. It was just in the last 2 years it's really taken off. But he was telling me that for the last decade he has had a coach who has been his mentor. He spends 4 hours a month with this coach. This guy comes in 4 hours a month and talks with him and holds him accountable, helps him set goals, and he pays him $4,000 a month. It's $60,000 a year.
So at least $1,000 an hour then, huh?
Yeah, so he's paying him $1,000 an hour. So over the last 10 years, he's paid this guy $600,000, $600,000 to be his coach. And for the first 8 years, his company was growing, but it took him 8 years for his company to really take off, and now it's a $10 million company. And so I think the moral of that story is, you got to have a coach. You got to have somebody that holds you accountable, somebody that holds your feet to the fire. And the really successful people figure that out and figure out that coaches and having a mentor is the way to become more successful. So yeah, I think that's one of the cool things about the mentorship program, and it takes more dedication than other things, but also your results are going to be 10 times the amount. So
can you just give me kind of overall, in a nutshell, what has sales done for you?
What the summer's done for me is it's helped me to be financially secure and also to prepare for my future and prepare a financially secure future for my family. It's really shaped my outlook on life and how I approach life and how I approach goals and how I approach what I can accomplish, and help me to have confidence that really anything that I want to do, if I work hard enough and learn all aspects of that, I can do it. And I really think that's true. I really don't think I would have had that kind of an outlook or a view on life if I hadn't done sales, because that's really where I first learned it.
So it sounds like you kind of proved to yourself that you were able to, overcome limits that you had previously placed on yourself. And so you taught yourself that new things are possible. And if you have that as a habit, then, if you have a habit of overcoming what you thought was impossible, then anything's possible.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think I really placed limits on myself. I just didn't even know where the boundaries were. Like, I wasn't even pushing myself before. And so I didn't know where the limits were. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So after the sales, I kind of realized, there's these boundaries that people place on themselves, and I realized there were boundaries that I had subconsciously placed on myself that I didn't know were there. And then I realized, okay, this is something I can do, and I can push that boundary and develop myself and accomplish things that I hadn't really considered were an option. So yeah.
Nice. Last question is, what would you tell someone that's kind of on the fence considering whether or not to do sales? Maybe they have a different career focus. They don't think that sales is maybe directly applicable. Maybe they're, not sure what company to go with, or they kind of have a bad taste in their mouth about recruiting, or just about sales in general. So I guess just to someone, for whatever reason is kind of on the fence about whether or not to do it, what would you tell them?
Well, first of all, I tell them to really sit down and write down the reasons why sales is not applicable to their life or their career, because everything is honestly applicable to sales. It is definitely applicable to everything you do in life. The ability to learn how to communicate effectively is a part of life. If you're on the fence, talk to people that have done it and ask them why they do it again, or why it's been beneficial to them, and think about what you'd want to get out of it. And it is what you put into it. So if you put in the hard work and you have a goal for what you want to get out of it, you'll get that out of it. What's there to lose? Is there anything to lose, Brad? I mean, if you go out and did sales, the only thing you're going to lose is, hardly anyone goes out and makes less than minimum wage, which is what a lot of guys do during the summer.
Yeah, you might lose the limits you placed on yourself.
That's true. Good point.
Be careful. Yeah. Don't go do sales unless you're ready to have your world rocked. Unless, you're willing to have your whole brain rewired and messed up about how much you're worth and how much a job should be paying you. Because yeah, sales will mess you up. You're not gonna be able to go do anything when for an hourly rate again after you go have a good summer of sales.
And that sounds like a big rah-rah speech that you just said, but it's really true. I mean, there's nowhere that you can get the kind of experience that you will doing door-to-door sales.
Nice. Well, hey, thanks for your time, Loren. Appreciate your input, and we'll look forward to hearing more from you.
Yeah, thanks, man. It was good chatting with you.